The Little Prince is a story about a young prince who had traversed his way through space to planet Earth. He left his small planet whose only inhabitant was he and a very boastful and unappreciative rose, in search for a friend to ease his loneliness. Before his landing on Earth, he met many grown-ups, who all did meaningless jobs, which were very confusing to a child like him, who only sought companionship. Whilst on Earth, he met a pilot, who had fallen from the sky, and through his stories he undergoes a transformation of spirit parallel to that of the prince. The Little Prince is a surprising book as it's classified as children's literature, despite its many mature themes and actions hidden in plain sight. This method of disguise is often called foregrounding. It is the literary stylistic that shifts the reader's attention from what is being said to how it is being said. It is essential to authors who are trying to ensure that the readers notice and gain understanding and appreciation of a certain theme or scene. Authors may do this through many ways. Most used are parallelism, symbols and metaphor, diction and tone. However, it can also be seen through character development and plot structure. By using these and repeating them throughout the text, makes the meaning clear, but may be ambiguous enough to be interpreted differently through each reader. The most noted is the use of symbolism and metaphor. The prince himself is to symbolize all of the children through the innocence and curiosity that he consistently displays. The pilot is all the adults in the world. Amongst adult readers, it is easy to draw comparisons between the adults from the other planets and the adults that we are. The adults each have no time for imagination and are too consumed by their respective useless tasks. The geographer, who cannot record information because he is not an explorer, and the drunkard, who drinks because he is sad and sad because he drinks. None of their cares reflect the goal or the overall meaning of The Little Prince, showing the adult readers that the greed and desire for useless content and objects is not what life is about, making some readers reflect on their actions of right now and how they compare to each of the adult figures that appear. Through the raw analysis of the adults and this method of self-questioning and seeing themselves being represented in writing, the meaning of the text is drawn out further. The desert is a symbol of their loneliness. The pilot fell from the sky and landed in the desert. When he said, I was more isolated than a man shipwrecked on a raft in the middle of the ocean. This really emphasized how much he truly felt alone and helpless. The prince's motivation for coming to Earth was because he wanted a friend, as he was lonely on his planet. This parallel between the two characters allows the reader to link the two characters together through their loneliness. The desert is also recognized as a harsh environment that not many people come back from if they are stranded there. So although it's described as a barren place, ready to be shaped by experience, the reader is expecting something tragic to happen. The exaggeration of some character descriptions allows the reader to focus themselves onto certain aspects of a character. While describing the rose, he goes into great detail about her beauty, but does not talk at all about how vain she is until after. This is of note because the reader is now aware that the rose was only taken at face value, and the little prince did not care for her personality because she was so beautiful, and he had made a great effort to nurture her to flower. Whereas the description of the vain man was said that he was quite grand, but the little prince was able to see right through him and see how unhappy and lonely he was as a person right from the start. He never once compared his rose to the vain man. By not mentioning this, the authors emphasize that Little Prince did love his rose very much. In the final chapters of the story, the Little Prince makes a deal with a venomous snake. The snake offers to take him back to his rose after biting him. The ambiguity of the action of taking him back to his rose causes a level of uncertainty within the reader. Towards younger readers, the quote, "I am leaving today too," said by the prince, will be interpreted differently to that of an adult. By using different cues from the reader's experience and maturity, very different conclusions would have been met. Just the same way that the narrator says, "There had been nothing but a yellow flash close to his ankle. He fell gently, the way a tree falls." If they are like the prince, they see him leaving to go back to his rose. If you are older, like the pilot, you can see that he is going to die. By not explicitly saying what is going to happen, it is up to the reader's knowledge of the prior events and conversations in the book, and how they interpret it, to determine the fate of the little prince. Both quotes are understanding the reality of what is happening to him. Rather than just going home or falling gently like a tree, he had died. After seeing these techniques being used in The Little Prince, I wanted to try using them in my own work. The following is a short piece of writing where I tried to incorporate those aspects of foregrounding. The band played, but I did not hear. My ears tuned it all out. All I could hear was you. Your voice was all the music my ears ever needed to hear, and I never wanted the record to stop spinning. Your dress, black as the ink that was woven into your skin, danced with your shadow as you jumped over the stage, enunciating your words and movements that only you could make look natural. As I stood there totally transfixed with your image, not a single thought travelled on the train that did circles in my head. I stayed and listened to your full set, never once taking my eyes off you, when you were packing up. You had made eye contact with me a lot that night, your eyes, big green lights beckoning me across the harbour, silently asking to go sailing with me, like you had not sailed through my dreams every night since I met you. It's not fair for you to look at me like that while you were on stage and I was in the crowd. Your mouth open in a smile while the lyrics you were so passionate about tumbled from your lips. You kept singing, and I kept listening, on the edge of my seat like I hadn't heard these songs hundreds of times before. Like I hadn't been there last night, listening to the exact same set, sitting in the exact same place, watching you do the exact same movements. The dress that once danced with your shadow now danced with The dress that once danced with your shadow now danced for me as you threw your body around on the stage, as the guitar player started his solo. The sleeves of the dress that hung loosely from your body shifted to reveal the milky skin of your shoulder and the contours of your collarbone. You danced in circles, and the skirt of your dress lifted just enough for me to see the top of your thigh-high socks you always wore. Nothing sort of angelic. Perfect. No other woman could compare to you in my eyes. The set finished and I ordered another drink. It would be a while before you left the building anyway. I sat there, ignoring everyone, head down, drinking. Now that my eyes were not captivated by your every move, I saw who remained in the bar. That they had turned the generic rock music back on again. It was nothing compared to you, but it was tolerable. I'd hear you sing again tonight anyway. Those who stayed lined the bar and booths on each side of the room. The dance floor was a messy group of bodies, almost exclusively dressed in black, just like you were. None of them looked like you, though. Your fire truck red hair would be too obvious. You always tried to hide from me, slipping away like waters through my fingers. So irritating. A few minutes later, you got into the van that was parked where it always is on the street. And a few minutes after that, I got into my car as well. I was going to meet you at your house and hear you sing again. The lights were on in the kitchen. I knew you were still awake. I could hear you banging plates together. You never tried to be quiet. It was lucky you lived alone. Very lucky. I walked up to the door for the millionth time, but this time I do something different. I knock. The clashing of plates ceases as I hear your boots pounding the floorboards as you walk to the door. I'm getting excited. You open it wide, but close it significantly when you don't recognize who is standing in front of you. Are you expecting someone? Hi again, how are you? What a stupid opening sentence. I didn't really think about this before I did it. I'm sorry, do I know you? Your eyes dart past me to the empty street. Not a single house light is on. Why would anyone be awake at 3 a.m. on a Friday night? I guess you don't. Do you need something? I thought you might sing for me again. I need to go to bed now. Have a good night. I jam my foot into the doorway, stopping your door from closing fully. My arms follow my brain's orders and grabs a handful of your hair, yanking it forward, smacking your head on the door as I push my way inside. You scream as I lock the door behind me. Music to my ears. Sing for me again. Symbols, metaphors, and character development were all used when writing this, to give the foregrounding a better hold on the story. The black of her dress was for the evil that was following her, and the red of her hair, linked often with stop signs and blood. Metaphors of her beauty and her voice shown just how passionate the person was towards her. And the character development of the person writing shows how hidden his true intentions were.